right, folks, here we are for another episode of Off the Grid. Wanted to welcome our next guest. Our next guest is a legendary music producer who calls the Golden State home. He started his musical journey back in the Bay Area during the 1990s, went on to work with some of the best in the game to make some timeless music, truly an amazing catalog. He's the mastermind behind some of my all-time favorite records of all time, case in point, Planet Asia's first EP. Wanted to welcome California music producer Fanatik. What's going on? Thank you for joining us today.
Peace. What's good? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you, man. Well, hey, man, let's start with just before we go into your storied musical career and resume, can we start with an intro of where you were born, where exactly in Cali you call home now, and how long you've been making music?
I was born in Utah.
Oh,
and I came to California when I was like 4 or 5. And just been here ever since. I came to Southern California first. So I was living in a place called Playa del Rey. And then I lived in San Fernando Valley. And then I moved to San Jose. And like San Jose, I had a lot of family members there. I've been there for, actually it wasn't even that much time before I started moving around the Bay into other places. But like a lot of like my musical, it was just like where I did my high school at, and a lot of those formative years of music was happening in San Jose.
Yeah.
And then I've like lived and worked in like every city in the Bay Area. So, places I've lived the most in would probably be like Oakland, Hayward, Sacramento, like over the last 30, 40 years.
Yeah. I just assumed that you were from Fresno or maybe San Jose, so I didn't know that you draw roots from back in Utah. That's wild, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was little. My dad was working at the BYU at the university there.
Yeah. Okay.
But he's from Annapolis, Maryland.
Oh,
so yeah, it was just. But that's like, I don't really have much recollection of the place, other than visiting there a few times.
Yeah.
It's not. I've been in California really for me my whole life. Like other than just my toddler years.
Well, I'm good. I'm glad we get to claim you as a California native, man. So
pretty much as you can get.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, what was your first exposure to music? What were you? What kind of music were your parents playing when you were growing up?
Well, they really weren't playing much music at all. My brothers and sister. Well, my sister lived in San Jose, so I didn't live with them. My brother was from my mother's side.
Okay.
My sisters, but it was really more or less music I would hear from them. Like when I was little, my sisters would expose me to stuff. My brother, I remember when I was little, I would go down into like his room would be like in a basement, and he had these big Kiss posters, and I'll go down there and it'd be like hella scary. I'm like, oh, what kind of music that is, I heard a little bit of music from him, but when I didn't really grow up with him much. He got married and left the house at a young age. So I really had the freedom to just choose my own music. My mom and dad didn't really listen to music much at all, other than maybe having the radio on or whatnot. So I really got to get into my own exploration since I was real young, to like record shop and, watching music videos, and just had a lot of media influence mainly, and then of course my friends, I think that was probably the biggest influence was just my homies, like, kind of being like an only child because my brothers and sisters were so much older. So, I mean, for, maybe some like disco and funk for my sisters, they would have me dance with them, I'd go visit them and things like that, I remember. But, I don't really recollect much influence from, like family and, in that scenario.
Yeah, and it's you were in a good place, man. I mean, in terms of like rap music, and I still feel like these golden age underground hip hop time too, and it was still flourishing. So it's a good time to be around that kind of music. And so, do you recall your introduction to rap music, and who you first heard?
Who I first heard, I remember like one trip to the record store when I was young that I had 3 different records. One was Hall & Oates, one was Run DMC,
Yeah.
Like Run DMC's first record and Motley Crue.
Nice.
And I think by the time I got done listening to all of those, I don't know, the Motley Crue was a little too much for me. I felt an identification with Run DMC. They had the lyrics on there, and I'm just like, this is just, it felt more relatable. Also, I like, the Hall & Oates had that, got good vibes. So like that is on that sing song level, I guess, like traditional. But at the same time, I'm getting exposed to like the hip hop and rap songs, and I mean, I'm sure I had early exposure, but I'm trying to think of really that was just something I really remember, is buying those records, looking at the vinyl. We had like one of those turntables that was like furniture. So you pop it down and it was like a big thing, and I would just be by myself listening to records, and I quickly got into tapes. And it was just mainly like, Fat Boys was a big influence.
Oh yeah.
I didn't have like the underground mixtapes and stuff that, people had access to. I remember, I think it wasn't maybe until junior high though, I was like hearing like K-Day, things like that. But yeah, it was really a lot of like, the MTV radio stuff. I was always trying to find whatever sounded hip hop I would be gravitated towards.
Yeah.
I liked a lot of new wave too, like The Cure.
Oh, nice.
Groups like that. Yeah, that was another landscape I like, But really I got in, I got into like DJing pretty early as far as kind of collecting records. My homie had all the equipment, and I would just buy records and come through to his place and play them. So his place was
Hey, was it Streetlight Records? Was that the record shop, or was it?
Oh man, no, it was shoot. But later, when I moved to San Jose, yeah, absolutely Streetlight. Yeah, Streetlight was the spot.
Yeah, it was, man.
Yeah, and it was still a drive because I was living in like West San Jose.
Oh yeah.
And Streetlight's like more north.
Right?
Yeah. So it was still a little bit of a drive, man, but it was always worth it. Yeah, Streetlight was the spot.
Yeah, I lived in Santa Cruz, and we had to go down that damn hill 17. I don't know if you ever drove it, but it was yeah. Well, hey man, so at some point, and you mentioned DJing first, and I know you as a producer. What was it? What did you start rapping, or was it producing, or was it DJing first that you started with?
Really, really DJing first, but it was more like it was that fan type of DJ. Not that I wanted to be a DJ, I just loved music.
Yeah.
And I was collecting records, and my homie was like more into the DJing thing. Okay. So I would just be playing music, and like he would go, like if he did like a wedding or like any kind of little part, we do like school parties and stuff, and I would just jump on and play the records I like. Nice. Because I always loved the rapping part, and really that. So to be a two-part question, even though I started as a DJ, my love for rap was a lot. So there was a point where my friend tried to get us into this show, and we hadn't even done a group. I mean, we hadn't even been an official group or record any songs or anything. But he's like, "Oh, we got a show." I'm like, "How do we got a show?" And I was like, "We don't even have beats." So I had to go try to find a few connections to even try to start making beats or figure out even how that worked. I didn't even know how to really make beats. I just was collecting records, maybe for some sounds or samples, and that kind of forced me into looking at that level of music. And
wow.
Yeah, when I was able to get some equipment, I finally just decided to focus mainly on that. I always rhymed a little bit on the side, and interested in that. I mean, that's a big part of how I know what kind of beats I work for rhyming, I guess you say.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. Yeah, and so how was the scene, man? As you were trying to develop yourself as a DJ and then eventually a producer, was it just was it very?
Well, I wasn't that serious about DJing when I was younger. It was just like a party situation. So I was kind of more in the streets partying and things like that. Like when I got basically like right when I got out of high school, I got serious about like what I got to focus on something, and then that's why I looked into getting some equipment, and that's how I came. That's how I got to know Architect. Was through one of my friends who knew him. We're like, oh, he knows what kind of equipment, and I got the information. I got an EPS, 16 plus, and a turntable, and just one speaker. I didn't even really know. I was really I never had my own equipment. I always used other people's. So it was really out of high school where I kind of got that focus and like, hey, I'm gonna make beats and really do it. And I wouldn't even really tell anybody until I started to learn better and could show improve. Because even now I don't even consider myself that much a because I respect the craft so much and I know so many DJs who are like incredible. So like, yeah, I do DJ, I do rhyme, but I don't put that as my forefront, because I just respect those crafts so much,
Yeah,
and
you got your black belt in beat making too.
Right. That's what I focused on because I happen to just end up being around a lot of talented MCs, and I'm like, shoot, I'm just gonna stay in this lane, and yeah.
And that's crazy to me. So in high school is when you met Architect, and
right out of high school, like my first right
and
after graduation,
you were in San Jose, he was in Milpitas, and someone connected y'all because it's not too far from each other. So that's
right. So right out of high school, I moved to Sunnyvale.
Okay.
And that's almost like it's like just that bridge right across to Milpitas.
Yep.
So that kind of had that connection. I also knew some MCs he was working with. There's a group named To and Fro. Man, that was raw. I heard raw songs and it really inspired me. Like, okay, I'm hearing people who can do this really, well, right out the gate. From people I met, from my homie Jerron.
Yeah.
He was really networked a lot with people in the music, and then I met DJ Design pretty closely after that, because he was like showing me how to use my equipment. Even he'd come through and just show me how to like chop up drums. I didn't even know I could chop up drums. I thought I needed a drum machine or all kind of stuff. So
yeah, hey man, I love how you and the Architect are still friends. And it's got to be over 20 years, man, since you guys met. And so that's awesome that you guys are still doing this thing together.
Yeah, man, it's real, there's that passion and drive and just that real hip hop cloth that we see eye to eye with, and it's and it's just a real thing, that's not things that go away over time, like we know we both can't shake it, it's the real it's a trip too, because over time some of my closer friends later in life end up learning music from him as well, and happen to be from the same neighborhood growing up as him as well. But I met him like way later in a different place where he has actually lived in Fresno for a while, my homie Jihad.
Okay.
And just just a lot of, it's just weird how people are connected in random, connected. Yeah. Because like I didn't know anything about Peanut Butter Wolf when I was at that time, when I had met like Arc and DJ Design, and then later I found out about him and met Peanut Butter Wolf through DJ Design. And that was like right when him and Charisma were signed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then our Architect and Grand, they eventually got signed to Stone's Throw. And did your time happen after them? And because you went on to produce an album that they released, right? So that was
at the same time I was working with a lot of the same MCs that Architect was working with.
Yep.
So I did a record with Grand, and he went by Grand the BI.
Yep.
I worked with a group called Subcontents, Persevere, Dave Dub.
Yeah.
Man, and many others in the area.
Legendary, man.
Yeah, man, a lot of talent that I happened to be around, a lot of talent I was around at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was kind of difficult to get records made.
Yeah.
I mean, songs made. Going, the studio time, you had to pay for it, be prepared. So the process was a lot slower. And for me, I had an opportunity to do a record, but I really didn't have, like, back then you wanted to have more of a group vibe when you were a producer. Like, I'm producing, so you had the front man.
Yep.
And I didn't really have a scenario, which is, so they say, one MC or a group that I really kind of fell into. I've been working at for years. I was relatively new still.
Yeah.
And it just made sense to, like, I remember the Peanut Butter did the Peanut Butter Breaks. And that was kind of a rare thing. Like people didn't really put out beat records back then like that.
Yes, good
So
point.
yeah, that was kind of like an obscure thing. But I remember like, okay, that's an angle. Let me just I'll just do some beats and put beats on a record, do something like
Yeah.
that, but do it a little different. And so really I was really focused more like on the music I was doing with subcontents.
Okay.
Then it was just a slower process of recording for a record.
Yeah.
And and the opportunity kind of came up very quickly because when Wolf got a P&D deal through New Groove,
Okay.
that was kind of what set off Stone's throw. Because before that, he had a couple records, and he like Step on Our Ego and Peanut Butter Breaks, and he had done some other stuff outside of his own label.
Okay.
And he was doing those working with the same collective, and the majority of everybody had already been working with Architect for some time as well. Yeah. So it was just that kind of the opportunity, I guess, came pretty quickly to do the record. Like as soon as he got the P&D deal, then it's like they can put out records, and I'm green to the whole thing. So I didn't know other than let's do it. So
wow,
I remember not liking the matter that I heard from, I didn't like the test pressing I heard from Charisma's single, because they cut out the bass on it, because that I didn't know that they do that for vinyl.
Oh, the extra mastering, right?
Yeah. They cut out some of the lows, so I'm like, I don't want record mastered. So I just went straight from my ASR to a DAT machine. It didn't even really mix it; just went right out the machine. So
yeah,
it gave it that kind of sound. You can hear like the the built-in reverbs and everything in there.
Yeah, was that so? It was Peanut Butter Wolf that invited you to do the Fanatic Beats album on Stone's Throw. Is that how the invite happened, or just how did that work?
It was a little more organic than that, because we had been like, we were roommates before that started up. Like we were living downtown San Jose. Like
man,
we had different rooms in this big Victorian house, and there were some other DJs in there, and so we quickly, like once we met, we were like digging and making beats together and stuff like that. And I learned a lot of drum techniques from him, and a lot of things. It was good. And I had like a lightweight studio from like, I had an ADAT. An ADAT machine that I had gotten earlier on, like to do recordings, so we could do rough recordings in the house.
Oh man, that's crazy.
And so we were already kind of like working together in this collective situation with the different MCs and producers we know. And my mentality, it was always from the jump, is to do it independently. So when I first remember meeting him, I'm like, oh, we got to do this stuff independent. I didn't know necessarily how to do it. I just knew that was the way to go, from reading all of, my heroes, their interviews, and, hearing their advice about, 40/80 and all that types of shit. Right. So I'm like, no, we can't go I never really looked at doing it from a major perspective or getting a deal.
Yeah.
So I kind of came into, so that was just my whole mentality, even doing music, was we just doing it ourselves. We do our own tapes, cut the covers out, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think when he went through the situation with Charisma, he really wanted to put out the Charisma record.
Yeah.
And he just got hooked up to this distributor named, it was TRC Distribution.
Okay.
And he created the hip hop department there, which really kind of became like a Fat Beats of the West Coast, so to say. Wow. Yeah, because the New Groove Alliance formed out of that, and New Groove was the P&D for so many other, West Coast groups and other groups like that too. So that happened real quick. So when he got the opportunity, like, I was always thinking more tapes and CDs.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand the vinyl game, but working at TRC, seeing what happened with his deal, like, oh, you want to put a record on vinyl? I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense to an extent, but I was still listening, I always bought records and tapes. I didn't really buy CDs much. So I'm still thinking like, we've got to put out tapes and sell them out the trunk kind of mentality.
Yeah.
But when I understood what distribution meant, how that worked, and how vinyl, you can get your stuff all over the world, I mean, that was just a big game changer. Yeah. So doing the instrumental record, it was good because it got my name as an artist kind of in the forefront when other producers weren't doing that.
Right.
So that was kind of, so it like you know, I assisted a lot. I was there during the early years of Stone's Throw. Like I was
Right.
really a part of, you know, it was more of a culture than it was just like, oh, I have a deal and let me go, you know, like it was basically everybody he put out was his homies at first.
That's
And he
awesome.
knew of and heard of for years. And, you know, it was just, you know, handshake deals or just, you know, yeah, verbal deals. And yeah, so if that answers the question.
Yeah, and how does it feel to have just a classic album with one of the most famous independent companies ever, man? It's got to be wild to think that you got just an amazing piece of music history with Stone's Throw. That's got to be awesome, man. A great feeling.
You know, it really is. It's good. Like, you know, my brother is a product designer. He designs, you know, industrial design,
Okay.
and he worked with graphic designers in his company as well. And they actually did the Stones Throw logo.
Oh, dang.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
man.
it goes way back. Yeah, we would go over there and use the equipment to, like, you know, take photos, scan. We had to scan stuff back then. It was before you could, like, you know,
Yeah.
when you to get stuff digital, right? We'd have to, you know, scan photos and
Yeah.
different artwork, and yeah, there was a lot. I mean, there was a lot going on. It was more of like a scene, really,
Yeah.
and you don't know it when you're in it because it's just all new. So that's what I'm saying. It just happened to be like the right thing at the right time.
Yeah.
When you look back at it, it's just like, you know, you feel the people around you, man, they're talented and insane, and it's all got the good ingredients and the vibes there and the dedications there. You know, everybody we're working with was like, but you know, not knowing really how far that would go.
Yeah.
Really, you know, I mean, you always hope for the best and you want to do bigger and better things. And you know, there really was kind of like almost a tunnel vision of like we're going somewhere, so we're not really tripping on where we went,
Yeah.
so to speak. And always kind of like, and you know, over history, kind of you start to learn like, okay, not when things start to happen so organically and easy like that, they don't always reoccur. It doesn't always reoccur like that, and
Yeah.
you know, you take it for granted.
Oh, man. Okay.
But I don't know. There's like a, you know, it just seemed to be like a flow of like, I think if you have certain intentions and focus, you really do kind of attract like-minded people who have that.
Yeah.
You know, like with meeting Asia and like doing the record with Rasco and
Yeah.
other people. That was just a real organic, like again, just it was. I think one of the key ingredients was making sure that you like, if you to finish something, because there's like a lot of recordings happening, but like, you know, actually getting the process done to get them out and finished and mixed and done was a big, you know, a big challenge.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of made the difference because there's a lot of ill songs out there that I've heard that never made it
Oh, man.
to wax, you know,
Yeah.
or light of day. And you know, many talented people who may, you know, be a bit more worthy of getting music in those lights, you know.
Yeah,
But
indeed.
yeah, I think the key though for me to all that was getting it finished and not and letting go. Some artists can't let go of stuff. They want to redo it 5 million times and throw it
Oh,
away or whatever. And there was just a part where I knew that I'm just going to have to let it go and just keep trying to get better and better and just let,
wow.
you
Yeah,
know.
that's a good attitude to have. I like that. You're right, man, because some people are perfectionists. And
Yeah,
yeah, so no, that's great, man. You just at some point you got to let it go and see what happens.
yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And before I move from that album, I just wanted to let you know my favorite tracks were Ramadan, Commercial Ish, and Battle Him were some of my favorites from that record. And I love the way that you closed that album, the Seismic Activity, where you did the shout out at the end, where you
Right,
were,
right, right,
yeah.
right.
Was that you cutting it up, everybody's names, or
Yeah, I sampled them in some flavor. And, you know, I had some foresight of like, yeah, in the future, people are going to know these names or like, you know, they'll have an idea of like who our crew was, you know.
yeah, that was cool. I was like, man, such a
But it
good.
was missing Barry Bones. Peace out to Barry Bones, man. DJ Rowe.
Okay.
He wasn't really making beats at that time, but he was killing it on the turntables. And man, since then, man, he got some of the illest shit. Yeah, like
Yeah.
our whole crew is fresh. Like when it
Oh,
comes to producers, right now, still like, you know, DJ Design still bringing heat. I just heard some stuff from him lately, and That was dope when we went out to Texas.
Yeah,
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 it's like
yeah. I
Tape
saw you
Master
guys. Yeah, you
Steph,
guys
Tape
were,
Master Steph. Shout out Tape Master Steph, huh?
yeah, San Antonio. That's you guys were just there recently for was it a show or just a couple of shows you did out there or?
Yeah, it was kind of like a little Southwest tour. Just
Oh,
try to kick up some dust, see what we could do, and
nice.
yeah, it was cool. Yeah, Architect put it together, man. He did a great job. Shout out to Arc for that.
Yeah,
And yeah, we had Razkaz with us. It was cool. It was
yeah.
yeah,
I
it
get
was,
happy.
it was good meeting new artists and then seeing some of the old homies on the way that like happened to move out there, Texas. That's like it has kind of a California vibe to it.
Oh, very cool, man. Well, hey, you mentioned you were there at the beginning of Stone's Throw. Do you recall how the name Stone's Throw came about, the origin of it?
Yeah, I mean, I know it had to do with I think it had to do with Chris's mom, Peanut Butter Wolf's mom, like something like, success just being a stone's throw away.
Oh man, super
Yeah.
cool.
I remember at first he wanted to call it Heyday Records. I think it was something between with him and Charisma, some kind of thing that they had between them.
Wow.
But it really started out, I do know, is like he really wanted to get out the Charisma record. Like I remember being in the studio when he was just doing tons of mix downs of methods, and the first single in the album, and that was like a big thing. That's like some of the first times I've been to a big studio was
Wow.
going with him into see how he worked in the boards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like what was it, Upstairs Records in San Jose? Yeah, I was in the lab with him too when he was laying down the Peanut Butter Breaks album.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, and you guys were just again. You mentioned already, man. You guys are just a talented group of guys, man. It's amazing. Then you guys just were all at the same place at the same time and connected. And you said talent attracts talent, man, and just and the same
Yeah,
energy. It's cool.
San Jose is a big place. People don't know that's like the biggest city in the Bay Area.
That,
And
that I didn't know, and I'm from
yeah,
California.
it's the third biggest city in California. It's like L.A., San Diego, San Jose. So, a lot of people there's a lot of people there, so it's bound to have something come out. I think it was just the right time.
Yeah.
Wolf was a little bit older, so he would DJ at some of the downtown clubs, and we were all able, as young artists, to kind of sneak in the clubs and, get that, open mics and, hearing the new records, that hip hop energy,
Yeah.
and have access to that. That was cool.
Yeah, really cool, man. And so, and still today, man, you're killing it. And so, I wanted to ask you real quick about the Do This EP that you did with Del the Funky Homo Sapien. Very unique, man. Just like 11-minute track that was progressive and it was built up and it was for the promotion of his gaming glasses, right? And so,
Right.
how did that all go down, man? How did you guys work that out? What's the story? It's so
Well,
cool.
it kind of just it happened like when we started with Manic Mondays.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like I met him like once or twice, but I hadn't really had the time to like play music and all that kind of thing. So it was through when we started Manic Mondays. I was working with Boss One. Boss One was using his studio to like do some of his own recordings, and it was like their brainchild with Boss and Del to like bring in more people. Del wanted to shine some light on some some other talent that he was feeling. And he got a chance to hear more of my music and was feeling that. And I hit him with a folder with hella beats. And what he at that time he was wanting to what he called his old school format of when he would just put 3 or 4 or 5 beats down at one time and then just record to them in one process. So that was how we did that process. Like he laid it out and then just recorded to kind of each one how he was feeling it, and then put the little pieces in between it and just wanted it to be one track kind of thing. So that was all Del's idea.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be the gaming thing was just a way to kind of get it out there.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we didn't really want to sit on it. And we knew, we were working on a bunch of new stuff. So it was just a good way to, a good, man, I was juiced. So it was, we did a track before on That's What It Is.
Okay.
Or a single song that I did with it was Boss One and Q Shy. They have a group called That's What It Is.
Oh my gosh.
And Del was featured on that, and we did that maybe like around 2020 era.
Okay. Oh man, I'll have to go back.
Yeah, that came out nice too. So that was kind of like the first track I recorded with Dell, technically, yeah.
Yeah, you guys.
That was like the same time Architect was recording with A Plus, when they were doing all 4 of those incredible albums during that time period too, like during the Rona era.
Oh, yeah. Man, and so were you guys in the studio when you laid that track down, or was that you had
Which track?
The for the Do This EP? Were you guys in one spot?
I wasn't actually. I wasn't there. I shot him the beats, and I didn't know if I was going to be there when he recorded or not. But, he records himself.
Yeah.
So well, like, and he knocked it out real quick. So I was surprised. I thought it was going to take him longer. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got him all done, blood." And I was like, "Wow, okay." And I got to hear it, and
Yeah. Hey, before I forget to ask you, man, how did you get your name? What's the backstory on Fanatik?
It was kind of something I had come up with when I was just rhyming. It just had a cool sound to it.
Yeah.
And I guess I could, being a, fanatical about hip hop, I guess you could say was, there's a time period, like maybe in the last 20 years, I went by onBEATS. Like I wanted to have a start a little bit fresher name.
Okay.
And with different intention, it was just onBEATS was just my name.
Oh man.
But it was kind of more like what I was just really doing out of my studio, and I really wasn't networking a lot with other artists or people out there to put my name out there.
Yeah.
Like that. It was just maybe on a couple records.
Wow.
And then when I started like reconnecting with a lot of people, it was too difficult to try to like, hey, what's up? Oh, my name now is onBEATS. People knew me as Fanatik, so I just was like, let me just put that as like the last name, because hella people had bit my name over the years too, like overseas. There was hella other Fanatics and stuff like that. That was kind of one of the reasons, like, dealing with that kind of thing. So I was able to put them together, at least in the digital world, to kind of separate and be like, okay, I'm not any of those other Fanatics, such and such. This is my stuff. And
I get it now. Oh man, that's crazy. I thought it was kind of just a hip hop tribute, Fanatik on the beat, and I thought you just kind of flipped it. But that's crazy story.
No, I kind of did that before. I did that really before people were doing that, because I was just with onBEATS. I was just like, I wanted to come up with an attribute of where I wanted to focus on, because in my earlier period of recording, I did a lot of production, like recording, mixing. I was putting songs together. I spent a lot more energy on putting songs together than actually making beats. So I was like, nah, I want to focus on just the beats. So I'm just going to do that. And when I came up with my name, I wanted it to reflect that attribute.
Very cool.
Of just being, onBEATS. So I was like, I kind of came from Busta Rhymes. Like, well, it actually came from 50 Grand, because he said one time on a record, he said, Fanatik onBEATS, Fanatik. And I was just like, I thought that was a thing. So,
super cool, man. Well, hey, thanks for explaining the story. Now it all makes sense, man. So it's very cool. Yeah. And I saw that in some, when I did more research, I saw that the spelling went sometimes from PH to F. Did you mess with the spelling?
No. It was always with the F.
All right, cool.
The PH was what I did for the Fanatik Beats title for the album, because in my head, like, the Peanut Butter Breaks was with a P, and I'm thinking, like, alphabetically in the record store, it would be next to his.
Ah, man.
So I was thinking like that when I was designing the record. Yeah, that was the. No digital shit back then. It was all just like, you're gonna get it in the store. That's when Amoeba was Amoeba and all that.
Oh man, cool story. Well, hey man, and I mentioned earlier on, man, I said, man, you are the mastermind behind some of my favorite albums of all time, and that's that Planet Asia album. Kaleidoscope is my jam. That came out in 1998. And how at that point, like, how long had you been making beats when that album first came out, man?
The Asia one?
Yeah. Were you?
I basically started making beats like in like 93, 94.
Okay, so yeah, been a minute already. You did your time.
Right. So it came out of me doing my independent thing. So when I was doing the records with Stone's Throw and I worked at TRC, I learned how to distribute records. So that was like the whole hustle. Like, okay, let me do my own, because I had time to do more, So I did the Wild Stylist first. Well, actually, I did another beat record that I kind of collaborated with Stone's Throw on more than, I put my money in basically in with it to make it happen, like the Nothing But a Beat Thing record.
Yep. Oh
So
man.
and then I did Wild Stylist because I had come up with the concept when I was working with D Styles, DJ D Styles. Shout out to D Styles. I would go over to his house to record instrumentals. He had a DAT machine, so he let me use his DAT machine for some things. And in the meantime, I'd be playing beats off the ASR, and he started scratching to him. Now I do live drops and play this stuff, and it was incredible, man. I wish I had those tapes still. And that gave me the idea, like, man, I like hearing his scratches, just like I like hearing rhymes. So I wanted to hear scratches on like kind of more like rap beats than just like traditionally before that. A lot of DJs were just, just kind of like the electro break kind of records. A lot of DJs would scratch on, or just the bare bones. Like I wanted to be like, nah, I want to hear DJs just go off for like have their solo time on some ill beats.
Yeah.
And so that's when I came up with the Wild Stylist. I wanted to do some formats. I originally wanted to do it with like D Styles and DJ Quest, peace to DJ Quest. But yeah, the timing, man, I was under a time crunch, and I was able to hook up with Babu and Rep first, so that worked out that way. So the whole point was that was like my introduction to doing my own records.
Okay.
Being really independent, like where I learned how to get it distributed, put the money up, where to get them, go to get Rainbow Record Manufacturer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So after I did that record, I met Asia, and we just kind of hit it off, and he would record stuff in one take. He was just like, man, he was hungry. He was ready to get work done,
Yeah.
And yeah, so we had a good vibe, and we would just record right to tape all the songs at first. So, and they just sounded really good like that. So we're like, man, let's do this thing. And for me, doing an EP at the time was like, it cost like, to do an album, you would do double vinyl, and 12 inches were obviously single records. But for me, like if I did an EP, it would give people more of an expression of the artist, and it would cost the same as doing a 12-inch, and I could sell it for double the price, so I actually make money off it.
Oh wow.
So as an indie move, that worked out well, because then that way I was able to keep stuff moving on the vinyl level. And so so then he was able to get the work done, and we did the record, and man, and people was really feeling that. So
still
now somewhere in between that when I was doing the thing, the Unassisted, it came out.
Yeah, with Rasco.
Yeah. That really boosted things a lot, That was the thing.
And so for when you did the Planet Asia album, so that record, man, I actually I picked it up from him at a show he did in San Jose, out at San Jose State. Were you spinning for him during his?
No, I never really DJ'd. I really never DJ'd for any of the groups that I worked with, because, like I said, I knew DJs were tight. I didn't really want to be in the spotlight like that. I just was like, let me leave it to people who already dope. Okay. But here's the thing: I met Asia through Rascal and EBF.
Oh, okay.
So because they knew him from Fresno when they were going to Fresno State.
Yeah.
They know Asia. So I when I was working with Rascal, I always heard him say, "Oh man, you gotta hear my boy Asia. He's nice. He's nice." So finally, when I heard him, I'm like, "Yeah, no doubt."
So they went to school together in Fresno. That's how they met.
Who?
Rasco in Planet Asia? Is that?
No, Asia was the youngsters. They were like in high school when he was in college.
Oh my gosh, that's wild, man.
Or even maybe middle school, even because Rasco and Wolf are like 4 years older than me. Asia's like a couple years younger than me, so it had to have been more like, early high school, middle school when they were in college. Then, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, you guys made some timeless gems, man. Yeah, that Unassisted track from '97, ridiculous, man. Underground classic. So
that was crazy things, like you said, they just come together. And I was doing a lot of more experimental or like beats. I had a lot of different styles, so I knew that was just one of my styles.
Yeah.
So that one just kind of popped. It was really inspired from going to a lot of the DMC contests, and the ITF, and like seeing all the battle DJs and see how they were flipping beats live.
Yeah.
That kind of inspired that beat, So I was chopping. I'm trying to think like how I would want to juggle it or something like that.
Nice, man. Yeah, and then you went on to make a couple more tracks with Asia, Bringing It Back was really dope. That song with 427, really cool. And have you produced for him in any of his newer albums?
For Asia?
Yeah.
I did. I just did one song. Was about it was like 2019.
Okay.
There's a song called "Bitch Please" off
Oh,
his
okay.
one of his medallions record.
Okay. Ah, super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know he got Dirty Diggs is who he works with. That's kind of like his hometown
Yeah, yeah,
producer.
yeah. I mean, yeah, when he's in LA with them, yeah.
Yeah, very cool, man. And you got, I mean, your catalog ridiculous, man. You got a lot of stuff with Cam is dope, and just a bunch of songs with him all over your page, man. And the art too is amazing. Like I saw in some circles. Are you a media artist too, or are you outsourcing the art for the music?
Um, I did, you know, I'd say I was a creative director behind those using some AI.
Okay. Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, you know, I usually have
That's
a
amazing.
hand in. I usually have a hand in or have to do like most of my covers.
Okay.
It's usually one of the biggest pain in the asses. I was just talking to Architect about that. Like, you know, that's just the process of getting good art can slow things down when you're trying to put out records, you know.
Yeah.
So it kind of came out of necessity. Like the Boss One album that we did, the Mentally Studio, that was done by like Knack One, who's Cam is Dope's brother. Um,
Okay.
Shout out to Knack One and Cam. Um, FSC, you know, that was like one of my first official covers where I like somebody else did it and it was really dope and I like was really, you know, it may not have been the very first, but I'm saying that was like when I was responsible for doing my own designs and photos. It was just I wasn't not that that wasn't my bag. It wasn't, you know, I just was just getting it done, you know. So with the AI, it's definitely been more fun with you know, getting some stuff
Yeah.
and it lets you work it. So it's not just they're spitting out images that are um that they come up, you know, it's not just 100. I got to use lyrics to come in, you know, to mold it a little bit and
Yeah.
try to use artist styles and mix them together, blend them, repeat and do that stuff. So it was a it's a little bit of a process. So that was fun as far as that.
Yeah. I
But yeah,
really
shout out to
appreciate
Azim and
you got a lot of music with him too.
yeah, Hussein J. Those two albums I did recently that I really am juiced about. Like they have a good man, just good stuff, man. And of course, anyway, yeah. So, um, you know what you were saying, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so, and again, now that I have you here too, two other things that you're really well known for is one, the Mike T remix recipe album that you did. That's another one under your belt that everybody loves. And so, can you just quickly talk about how that all went down?
Oh yeah, that remix actually was a trip because I don't really like remixing stuff hardly ever, and it was just like a challenge to try to remix it. And I don't know
Dope.
if I ended up using the same record, the blues. There's this blues record I used, and it just worked out because the phrases I used ended up working with his words and gave just like a deeper dive into like his song, you know. I thought it was a real dope song because he was kind of like being real. He's really exposing, you know, some of the, you know, things he's working on in his life, and you know, it made it that remix. I think made it a little deeper
Yeah.
and you know, funkier than the original. Shout
Yeah.
out
Well,
to Mike, and he's been working
yeah.
with him a lot too on Manic Mondays.
Oh, fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so and then when you mentioned just the how much you appreciate the DJ and how much you love scratching, I thought about all the Mike T stuff, man. Just D sharp on the cuts and just he
Right, right, right.
yeah,
Shout out to D Sharp. Yep, yep. He did the cuts on man. He delayed those real quick. That was
shredded it.
effortless. Yeah. And DJ Quest too. DJ Quest did a lot of stuff with
Oh, on
us
that one.
on Boss One's album.
Okay. Yeah, so I love I love folks that use a good combination of scratching and just rapping and yeah, scratching. I feel you, man. It just makes the song so much better in my opinion, man.
Heck yeah. Well, you know, on my first record, the Fanatic beats, I had Architect scratch on there, I had DJ Design scratch on there, I had Peanut Butter Wolf scratch on there, I had
Oh,
Take My Step scratch on there. So you know, they all
legendary.
have their own styles with cuts, you know, and even today, you know, like DJ Design and Architect both have scratches that were named by Qbert for them, you know.
Oh,
Like, so, you know,
that's
again,
good.
it's just being blessed to be around, you know, good folks, talented people, man.
Yeah. Hey, another thing that you're well known for is the work that you did with the group Beat Grinders, and you guys put out a bunch of stuff from 2010 to
Oh
14.
yeah.
Yeah. And so, hey, can you quickly tell us real quick, the members of the group, how that went down, and how you guys put those volumes of music together? Really cool.
Wow, that was a interesting time period. Man, that was yeah, with my partner Jihad on Nafs, and who has his origins back in Milpitas. He went to elementary school with Architect.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, but we, this fast forward, he lived in Fresno too. He knew a lot of the same people, and um, yeah, I mean, he was super dope producer, and he rhyming a lot now too. And it was just like, I like doing instrumental stuff, but I also like working with my homies. So it's like, hey, let's put a record together. And also like, Autolect, he got so many monikers now. If you check for, like he got ill tracks. So it's like, there was just a time period where it's like we were working on music together, like songs, like I don't know if you heard of there was an Ak Fantastic single that we kind of all three were collaborating on.
Oh, I'll have to look it up. No.
And yeah, Jihad produced one song, I produced one song, and Ninth Wonder actually produced one song on there.
Oh, crazy.
And it was during that time we did the Beat Grinders. It was just like an idea of like, man, let's just try to get some CDs and tapes out there still.
Yeah.
And just do some beat record stuff, because it was an easy way for us to collaborate and get it done.
Yeah.
And I had the idea of using like the old school TV shows as the cover art, and it just kind of cracked from there.
Yeah.
And then getting the other volumes done, I added 2 other producers to kind of fill in the gaps for the time when I wasn't able to really collaborate with everybody else. There was Jules Polar from my homie from Philly.
Okay.
And he was on one, and then Abdul Malik, he came on one of the series too. So
super cool.
The other 2 volumes had at least one of the other from the original Beat Grinders. So that was just kind of a fun thing to do, man. Just put our beats together and just blend them together and see how it even sounds on a record or a tape,
Yeah.
And it was just, just some more stuff to do.
Yeah. Hey, man, I love it, man. You guys stayed busy all throughout, man, and still to this day. And you mentioned this earlier too, which I really dig in, was all the footage that you got from the Manic Mondays by Dell. Can you quickly talk to me about that event? It looks like a good time, man.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, it's an ongoing thing. We started it last year. We've been doing it for a year now. Like,
yeah,
just Mondays. We got a great group of artists who have definitely, been digging down in the scene for years, and like Rational IQ from Hobo Junction, got Lord Takim from 7 Odds.
Yeah.
Boss One, Mike T.
Yeah.
Just to name a few, Safari.
I saw Rascast was out there at one of them, huh?
Yeah, Rascast came through. Yep. So there's a nice open. What really is it's about kind of getting back to basics. Like,
yeah,
what we all kind of like lost over time was everybody gets kind of separated and send me this file. I'll do it in my own studio and go somewhere else. And rarely we're really collaborating. We're getting together and sitting in the same rooms and environment and vibing. And it's like when we did it was like, man, this is what we need. We need the real music energy to, and Dell was all about making that happen. He wanted to, he opened up his home to that, and we're able to, record in the different rooms, and it's loud and fun, and it's just kind of like we're just gonna, record and just do it and not really trip too much on too much technicalities, and just keep the vibe, keep it fun, keep the vibe going, kind of push each other artistically. There have been many different times, you have like, different people come from out of town or different, different instances, like kind of like guest appearances, you could say.
Yeah.
Coming through and recording over the year. And then we just started releasing it in January.
Yeah.
And so we just hit them up every Monday with 2 tracks. You can hit it on the YouTube and the website. Right. Yeah. DellPresents.com. Go to DellPresents.com and you can get the double dose. And we're kind of doing a whole week's worth of stuff, like from verse videos to like beat tapes to old school stories, like from some of the founding musicians in the area. Like the boss has got some great interviews from people who go deep in the Oakland's funk history and music history there. And so getting some good interviews from that, and a lot of behind the scenes footage of, like, you know, Manic Mondays. And
Yeah, that looked
yeah,
fun.
it just kind of turned into something, you know. It was kind of wild. And then, you know, it basically was based around Boss One's time off work. Was like Monday was the only way he could go, and everybody else was kind of more flexible. So
Yeah, that's
you know,
cool.
eventually Dale was like, "Oh, it's just another Manic Monday." It's another, and then we just kind of stuck with that.
Yeah, it looked like a good
And
time, man. I really enjoyed seeing the videos, and then I started going on the YouTube page. I was like,
oh
oh,
man, thank you, man, thank you for being
yeah,
there. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
really cool.
I mean, there's other producers who are consistently, you know, putting in work, and other people showing up, and you know, so there's like a variety of, we got like guest producers coming too. It's not just MCs. And you know, we had Remind come through, so we got b-boys and, you
Yeah.
know, top-notch b-boy vibe, you know.
Yeah, I like that platform you guys made. And you're right, man. There's something about just doing all that stuff together and in person, man. Real different, man. And sometimes, like when I'm recording, I just rush through stuff and nobody's there. But yeah,
Right.
it's
I
a
mean,
good
it has
time.
its place. It has its place in the convenience to get things done, and that it is
Yeah,
important, you know. But you know, interestingly enough, you know, like when we went, you know, talking to me from back in the day, and then bringing that together, it's like it has that energy in it, like, of things that happen. Like when you have a collective of people, when you're doing
yeah,
and you're vibing with the music, you're not really thinking about, you know, money or prestige so much, or trying to make this or this. You're just doing it really for the love, you know.
yeah.
And you know, and having a place to be and time to do it. Um, anyway, yeah, it just made me reflect off. Yeah, that's
That is
kind of
cool.
went full circle, you know.
No, absolutely, man. And with that, man, you've been doing music, man, almost over, man, it's got to be over 20 years now, man. But what motivates you to still make music, man? How do you find that inspiration?
Um, so a lot of times it's not really inspired.
Okay.
It's just natural. It's just like, you know, whatever, like doing anything else, you know, like it's just that natural. It's just what I do. Just gravitate towards it. Just how I think and feel and express, you know. So therefore, because of that natural stuff, there are times when I have more inspired moments than others.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff really comes from bullshit in life, to be honest. A lot
Yeah.
of it is what do it, you know. And some of the stuff, it comes with, you know, when you get juiced off of hearing people's, you know, hearing other people come with some fresh shit, and you
Yeah.
get like
Yeah.
what they do. You know, like I'm, man, like when I hear some Arch beats or Rose beats, different people, you know, I
Oh, man.
hear, and now, you know, they get me juiced on the beat tip, you know, and then just the creativity that comes through people, and those are the moments of more inspiration, you know, like when you
Yeah.
get in the zone. But other than that, it's just like a regular thing. Like I guess that's what, over time, it's just something that, like, I've tried to shake it, like, let me not worry about doing music, blah blah blah. But even when I wasn't outwardly as active as far as putting out music and material, I still was making music, still making beats and recording, and it was just, um, it's just, you know, one of the parts of my life. It's just like
Yeah.
doesn't go away with, you know,
That's who you
uh,
are. Yeah.
integral part. Yeah, 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 and it's, you know, I think it's that thing that you can't really make up, kind of, you know. It
Yeah.
has to really be there, you know. It's just, you know, it's too much. There's too much bullshit that you make people want to shake it if it really wasn't in them, you know.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, at this point, I just, you know, it is what it is. So,
Yeah. I like gave up at this point. I acknowledge that I'm probably going to be rapping till I'm like 70 or 80, man. So it's
no,
all
but
good.
like, why not? Well, that's the
Yeah.
point. Why would you not? Why would you stop? Like, some people would want to start doing stuff when they're 70 or 80 because they never had a chance to do it when they're younger,
Good point.
like a lifelong love. So, like, why would you want to
Just love it.
stop? It's
Yeah.
not physically demanding like singing or, you know, sports or all these other things.
Hmm.
Um, and, you know, really, I've always found myself getting better just naturally,
Yeah.
just because of being in myself, knowing myself better and being more comfortable with myself. And then that expression to come out. Then when you learn how to express that more, the music going to be better.
That's a great point, man.
So like really, you got to get older to get better,
Yeah.
in my opinion,
Experience.
because the youngsters don't know themselves so much. Some might do, but you got to really, without having knowledge yourself, how you going to express yourself. Other than that, you're just copying and shadowing other people, which is like what we see most of the time.
Man, that's a great point, man. Oh man, I didn't think about it like that, but you're absolutely right, man. I still feel like as I got older, man, I don't think I lost a step. I feel like you said, just more experienced, man. I understand myself more.
Right. And
Yeah,
as long as you're, man, enjoying it is a big thing, you know, like
that, yeah,
like other stuff can take the, you know, take the joy out. Well, a lot of things can, or I know sometimes, like I said, it's not about enjoying it. It's just like therapy or just something you got to do. And um, you got to do the work and then kind of enjoy it a little bit more later sometimes when you hear it back.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know. It's like, you know, and I also hear, you know, it's different for different people.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's true, man. Hey, man. So, and just, I mean, you do a lot of music. You're active in the scene still. You're a working man, a family man. Uh, where do you find time to have fun? What do you do for fun outside of music, family, and work? And I know music's fun, but do you have any hobbies?
Um, I like going outdoors. Like, it's a good way to, like, when I can, like, and always, you know, any time extra, just enjoying it with my children is like, that's the real good stuff, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I usually like to end the interview on like some lighthearted questions, just some fun ones, man. So I'm gonna run them off, man. I'm always interested to see what kind of sense of humor the person I'm interviewing has. So I
Oh,
always ask, what is your favorite comedy movie?
wow, man, there's so many of them and they're different angles. Like, wow. Uh, I know, man. See, this is that happens with the age, man. My short-term memory. I'm trying to think of, like, I know I seen some stuff recently that was funny.
Yeah,
Like, you know, that's gonna mess with me tonight too. I'm gonna
yeah,
be
yeah,
hearing, like, it's
yeah,
gonna be popping up in my head all over the
like,
place.
yeah. No,
Damn, because you know, there's so
mine's,
many, there's different eras for the comedy movies,
yeah.
and then, you know, what are some that you like though? What do you
My
from?
all-time favorite is "Coming to America" by Eddie Murphy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I
Yeah, it's
can quote that thing.
definitely up there.
Yeah, so that's probably one of my all-time favorites. And see, I put myself on the spot too. Waterboy is always a good one for me too.
Yep.
So I like that corny kind of humor, man. So really, really good. Those are
Man,
my,
when it's done right, it's amazing. Like, yeah, like some Will Ferrell type stuff.
yeah. All
Like
right.
Talladega Nights is a classic.
Yeah, yeah. Ron Burgundy, the Weatherman
Oh
is
yeah,
good.
yeah. Oh man, yeah. Oh yeah. Ron Burger. Oh yeah. That had me. I was acting a fool in the airplane one time because I didn't know he was that funny because I kind of like I didn't really know much about Will Ferrell like that. And then I watched the Ron Burgundy and I was on the airplane and just laughing hella loud. And I knew people were looking at me, but it threw me for a loop because I just expected him to be like kind of airplane corny,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. But yeah, no, it was yeah,
That's,
no, he got classics.
hey man, you spent a lot of time in San Jose and just in the Bay Area, so that means you've been surrounded by a lot of Filipinos, man. What is your
Oh
favorite?
yeah. Oh man, I love my Filipino folks, man. That's like, man, life would suck without Filipino folks, man, for real.
What is your favorite Filipino food?
Whatever I can get that's homemade.
I love it. Great answer,
Because
man.
when the love is put into it, you know,
Okay.
man, I remember I used to sell Kirby vacuums door to door.
Okay.
And man, whenever I'd hit a Filipino community, man, I used to be treated so well and get food, all kind of food for free. Like
That
even if they
sounds.
didn't buy a vacuum, man, I'm gonna get some food. It was like, man, I'm just showing so much love, man. Yeah.
That's great, man. All right, man. If Fanatic could have any superhero power, what would it be and why?
That real willpower, like, you know, I can do what I really want to do. Cause like how many of us say what we want to do, but we can't do it. But there's nothing stopping us really. Like just simple stuff.
Yeah.
Like really having control, you know, control over the self. It was like I think that's the type of superpower because that's really when you see people get that level
Yeah.
of discipline, they do what they want to do.
I like
But
that.
other than that, I don't know, maybe time travel always seems fun.
Yeah.
I love different perspectives and places and stuff. You know, time travel and be able to go different places throughout the dimensions and really explore. Like I like traveling. Traveling is fun.
That's awesome, man. All right. Hey, I want to know, does Fanatic believe in aliens?
Well, I don't believe that they're called aliens like they are, but of course, like you have those type of creatures that have always been known through all the original cultures. And it's funny because to me, like when it comes to all the what do they call them, the conspiracy is
Yeah, the
genre of
conspiracy
things,
theories.
right? What's a trip to me is like they'll go way deep into all of these different avenues to expose things and connect them to historical realities,
Okay.
right? And historical proofs. But when it comes to aliens, they always act brand new, like they use these weird, only modern um, types of describing alien life
Okay.
and the other type of life forms. When like humans have always been dealing with other type of life forms from the very
Yeah.
original. And there's so many books like like for example the Quran, when it mentions jinn in the Quran, like smoke, creatures that are made from smokeless fire. I mean, you have so
Yeah.
many traditions of people that's like thorough examples and experiences of people dealing with the unseen, creatures that can deal with time and space differently than how we do.
Oh
So
man,
the
that's
idea that
crazy.
so the alien thing to me is like out of all the conspiracy topics, it's the corniest one because everything else they try to do the real knowledge and history on it, and they just
Yeah.
don't go there when it comes to aliens.
Yeah.
So it makes me think that they got a big hand in that conversation.
Oh man,
They
that's
try to
crazy.
stay hidden. Yeah.
Good, good answer, man. Hey, and so you mentioned time traveling. This is another question I'd like to ask: is if you could have dinner with anybody in history, present or past, dead or alive, which two people would you pick?
Oh, yeah. He's Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would be, and
Nice.
yeah, and another spiritual giant named Ibrahim Nias. That would be
Okay.
another one. Yeah,
Nice. All
at
right.
least like there'll be more, but yeah, that's just something off the top.
Very.
If you look, um, amazing human beings that have transformed their landscape and known to just elevate people just by their presence. Like that kind of opportunity would be amazing.
That is awesome, man. And I would say that's something you do too, man, in your music. So with that, thank you again, man.
Oh,
It's
thank you,
been
brother.
Yeah, it's been an honor to follow and do a deep dive into your music and just talk to you about just some of the stuff that is super timeless, man. You're a legendary producer, man. You represent to the fullest, and I'm so glad that you're still active. And I'm going to continue to follow you and cheer you on. So thank you again. I appreciate your
Oh,
time, man. Any
thank you,
special
brother.
projects? Yeah.
Man, I really appreciate you, and just that alone, it makes the process more worth it when someone really appreciates and can connect. And man, I love that, man. That means a lot to me. Like, I don't care if it could be however large or small the platform or whatever, but like having conversations with good people like yourself, that just makes it all the hip hop involvements and cultural involvements worth it.
Yeah.
Just
Thanks.
real good discussions with good people, man, and especially when there's stuff in the culture and man. But I'm sorry, you said what projects?
Oh, no,
Uh,
I'm just the one of millions of people that love your music. And with that, do you have any special projects that you want to shout out before we close this thing out?
all yeah, of course, all of them. But you know, I got a great record coming out with Lord Takem and Dale called the Tad EP, like
Oh,
Takem and Dale, just a Tad. Um, I love, man, shout out to Azim. He's an amazing MC, and the material we've done, I think, is criminally slept on. Hussein J. Everybody in Manic Mondays you can check for. Like that's ongoing, current now. Any um, my homie Ferragamo, we got some nice stuff cooking. Cubic, we still got some stuff cooking up with Cubic. Any beat projects I got with Art. Um,
man.
check for the Crown Jewel stuff.
Yep.
Um,
It's got some good
no,
merch
I'm
on
always
that
gonna
site
forget
too.
something, huh? What?
It's got some good merch on that site too, man.
Oh, thank you, brother, man. Man, shoot, man. Yeah, yeah. Tell the people to come check it out because it look good on them. They need it.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
Man, no, I appreciate man the opportunity to have the conversation. And man, my please anybody forgive me that I left. I know I've done left out people or projects that is gonna haunt me too. It's a little tougher thinking on the spot.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I just say,
I don't do too many of these, so I really appreciate, man, really each one.
yeah,
And shout out to Equipto last night. I went to the show that he did in the city, man. It was raw, man. It brought those old '90s like San Francisco vibe back. Like, yeah, this is how the energy I remember in the city. Like, it just have to be kind of captivated in that show, in the club, and it's like, yeah, that was dope. That was dope.
You posted footage of him rhyming too. I was like, golly.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. It was just last night, so it was just a
raw
fresh memory. I went there with Boss One, of course. Shout out to Boss One, Barcelonia's Funk.
Yeah, that's what I miss, man. I'm in Hawaii, so I don't really get to see shows like that too much. So I always.
Do you know East?
I don't, man. He's out here.
Yeah, he's in Hawaii. Yeah, the writer.
Oh no, I don't.
The
man.
writer East. He does a lot of murals and hip hop projects out there.
I'll have to look him up, man. I'm sure he got an IG page. I'll have to look.
Yeah. Check it out, man. He did the Manic Mondays logo, man. Real talented artist, man. Raw. He does a lot of. He did. I know he did some work with Tri-State.
Okay. Super cool, man.
Did you meet Tri-State when he was out in Hawaii too?
No, I did not, man. Yeah, so I gotta get smart on on all things in Hawaii, man. So.
Oh man, and now you don't need, man. Just enjoy the sun, man. Enjoy the vibes, man.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, hey, man, thanks again. I appreciate it, man. And again, man, I just can't wait for the future projects, man. Do you have any final words before we close this thing out?
Final words. I don't even like the sound of that. I don't want to have final words till I'm dead.
Yes.
But definitely check out www.delpresents.com.
Yes, sir.
Check out fanaticbeats.com. Show some love. However you can. Share stuff, play stuff. Hey, if you feel it, support it, and just keep continuing the vibe. Just passing it on. Sharing music, we make stuff so it can be shared so easily. So, take some time to hear it and listen to the difference. You're gonna hear different stuff. Like when you listen to my music, you're gonna hear different types of MCs. They're not gonna all sound like each other. So take some time to hear and appreciate different people that you don't even know, because there's so much talent, and everybody's gonna have their favorites. So just listen to the beats if you don't, But
well said.
Just enjoy the music, keep the hip hop flowing, and keep passing it on. That's,
I love it, man. Well, hey, with that, man, thank you again, and man, I can't wait to get this interview out, man. I'm so excited.
Oh, thank you, brother, man. It's been a big honor, man, and enjoyable interview. And please forgive me if I said anything that's out of pocket or
Not at all.
But yeah, man, and hope to have a conversation in person in the future, or just more, like this would be good.
Yes, I'd love that.